Hey, so what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be sharing more about what are some of the factors and considerations that you should have when deciding which university course you should go for. For context, I'm currently studying in the National University of Singapore, majoring in business administration, and I specialize in business analytics as well as supply chain management. So this course is a 4-year course and I'm currently in my 3rd year of studies. Before I dive right into the content, one thing that I wanted to say is the reason why I'm doing all these kind of videos is so that prospective students or even some of the current students, they can learn from some of the mistakes that I've made, the lessons that I've learned, so that you don't have to commit them yourself and go through the hard way. So if you do benefit from some of the stuff that I'm sharing, then do consider sharing it with a friend and also just spread the knowledge to the others. Alternatively, you can also subscribe to the channel to find out more about the lessons that I've learned along the way. So diving right back into the content, these are the following stuff that we'll be going through for today. So first up, it will be what course exactly should you study? For this factor, I think what you should consider is what do you want to do in the future as a career. If you're looking to be a software engineer or you're looking to be an educator in the future, I think the answer will be quite straightforward for you. However, I believe if you're here watching this video, then most likely you haven't quite really figured out what exactly do you want to do. But it's definitely okay to feel this way. I think that what you can do right now is to shortlist some of the career path that you might be interested in and then make your decision along the way based off these few shortlisted career paths. Or you could just choose a course that is something that is of interest to you. Because I believe that if you're interested in something, then you would definitely find it easier to study through the entire duration of the course rather than to struggle and trying to keep up with the academic rigor. Up next, it will be after you decide what course you would really like to attend, then the next question will be which university should you go for? And you should also factor in the academic duration for the different universities. So for example, in NUS Business, we are on a 4-year program, whereas for NTU Business School, they are on a 3-year program. So my advice here is don't just simply choose one course over the other simply because of the duration, unless you have a very strong reason of why you are going for a certain academic duration course. You should factor in more considerations in this case, not just simply based off the academic duration. Unless maybe you are someone who already know what exactly you want to do and you know how to get there. In that case, maybe a 3-year academic duration course might be better for you because you already know what exactly do you want and how to get there. Whereas for others who haven't really quite figured it out, a longer academic duration course might be better because you have more time to really explore and find out what exactly do you want to do, and there'll be a lot more opportunities that are available during the longer duration span. For this point, I think I've mentioned it a lot during my local exchange experience video, so if you haven't checked it out, I'll link it up somewhere. But I think that this is an extremely important factor that you want to factor in because you wouldn't want to spend hours daily on your commute to just going to school. And on the flip side, if you're looking for campus accommodation, then you should factor that cost into your calculation too. So speaking of which, cost of living would be the next point that I'll be touching on. To be very frank, I think it can be quite expensive when you're going through what are some of the things that you're going to spend on when you're in university. You can expect yourself to be eating out a lot more frequently. There'll be much more gatherings, there'll be much more team meetings, there'll be a lot more activities going on as compared to whatever that you have experienced in the past. I think this factor will be extremely prominent when you're comparing whether you're studying locally or whether you're studying in other country, because I believe that the cost of living in other countries will be significantly higher, especially when it comes to the rental, the amount that you have to spend on food in other countries and all that kind of stuff. You have to really factor in the different costs. So now we're going to talk about the lesson conduct. You might want to look more specifically into how the different schools conduct their lessons. Is it in a hybrid format? Is it just purely seminar style? Is it a lecture tutorial basis? Or do they demand you to be really physically in the classroom all the time? I think the point of this is that if you know how the school is going to conduct the lessons, then it would be good for you to reflect on which kind of conduct would help you learn best. Because it really depends on what course you're going after. So if you're going for something that requires more discussion, then maybe a seminar style kind of conduct might be better for you. Whereas if let's say you're going on a more technical route, maybe a lecture tutorial basis structure might be better for you because of the flexibility that is involved, since the lectures might be uploaded online and you can review it on your own time. So speaking about school environment, I think it goes down to what is the culture of the school, what are they preaching out for? Does it have an entrepreneur scene or does it have a tech scene? Or what kind of things do they place more emphasis on? Is it on the academics or is it on the career side? What kind of career support do they have? So I think different universities have very different emphasis. So for NUS, they place a very, very strong emphasis on entrepreneurship based off the different kind of incubators and also the modules and also the programs that are available that supports startups that are founded by students. And I personally do know a lot of people who chose to go to NUS because of this entrepreneurial space that exists in NUS. So this factor might be of consideration to you when you're deciding, because it could really affect where you want to be in the future. And I personally believe that the environment is extremely important. When you mix with like-minded people, it really helps to push you even further in wherever that you're heading towards. So speaking about alumni, I think that this would be very important if you want to leverage on your alumni network. For example, if you could leverage on some of your seniors to help you with in terms of your career guidance or in terms of your interviews or in terms of getting your internships. The thing to note about this is that the guidance and the support are usually voluntary, so it is usually out of goodwill. And most of the time, these alumni would probably be working adults, so you do want to consider that they don't really have a lot of time to spare to just guide you along. So you got to be succinct in terms of how you ask your questions and putting your questions across to them. But nevertheless, if your school has a very strong alumni network, I believe it will really help you a lot if you're looking to go towards a specific industry and you require a mentor to guide you in that space. So going on to the next point of current graduates is a little bit different from the alumni network, but more of looking and analyzing how the current graduate space is like. So you can kind of see what kind of outlook are they having, what kind of career path are most of them setting themselves on, because if they're heading towards a certain direction, then there probably is something that is working for them. That's why the school might be promoting for that career path or whatsoever, and you could also find yourself gradually shifting towards that path as well. So just for example, SUTD places a very, very high emphasis on tech-related modules, and their curriculum is practically shaped around that. And a lot of their graduates are finding high-paying jobs in the tech industry. So this kind of trends should be something that you would want to look out for, because it will really affect you a few years down the road when you're in the school. So you would also want to look out for the different kind of opportunities that are available in school, in terms of be it overseas exchange experience, what kind of exchange partners do they have, what kind of networking opportunities do they have to really connect you with the industry experts. So just based off my understanding, I know that quite a few universities, they place a very, very high emphasis on their students going abroad to other countries for their overseas exchange experience. So another thing that you might want to be interested in is also what kind of network does the school have, because if they have very strong connection with the different industries, then that could also give you an edge in terms of helping you land a foot into those companies that you're looking out for in the different industries. And I personally think that one indicator that you could look out for is what kind of companies are appearing on their job portals, and also what kind of companies are appearing on their career fairs, because this shows a very strong indication of how strong the relationship does the school have with the different companies that are outside. So for this last point, what I'm referring to is the exact curriculum that the school is promoting to the students. And you might want to think about how does the curriculum help you in what you want to do? What are some of the learning points that you can gain out of specific modules? And I'm not saying that every single module in the course would help you to get to where you want to be, but more of pinpointing out what are the specific modules during the entire academic rigor that really can help you to push through and help you increase the knowledge that you want in a certain space. So I think that I personally feel that whenever you're going through your studies or whatsoever, you should really think about what you can gain out of it instead of just going through the motion. Although there are many people who might argue that going to school is pretty much a waste of time, and most of the things that you learn in school you can't apply outside. I guess that's a challenge for you to really think actively in terms of how you could apply what you're learning in school into the real world scenario, because I believe that there are some of the lessons that you can really apply out into the real world, just that whether or not you're drawing the connections in between. So just for example, in business school, we are all required to learn basic Python programming. And while we are all not going to be programmers in the future, why would this be relevant is because in this digital world today, can we afford not to learn or not to know anything about technology? I think that the answer is very apparent, and that we can't afford not to know anything about it. And even though we are not required to know it on a very high level, but just having a basic understanding would really help us a lot connect the dots along the way when in terms of doing our analytics or when we're doing different kind of work meetings and all. It will really help to spur the conversation forward. So I personally believe that you should really look at the upside with regards to what kind of education that you're receiving, and think actively about how you can really apply this knowledge in the future instead of just going through the motion. And you should also think about how can the curriculum help you learn and improve better and become better and better over the years. So pretty much that's all that I have to share for today. If you're an existing undergraduate and if you have any other factors that I have personally missed out, please feel free to comment them down below so that everyone else can learn from this. If not, I hope that you have learned something from this video. Take care and I'll see you in the next one.